Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ignored and Underestimated. Today, I have one of my new guests. This is my best friend of 20 plus years, Glenn, and he will be telling you all about himself and his journey. Glenn, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Oh, well, where to begin?
Well, tell us what your diagnosis is.
I have cerebral palsy.
Okay.
I was born in 1970. So I'm a Gen Xer about to have his next birthday coming up real soon. Almost 54. Goodness help me. But yeah, I was born with cerebral palsy, but we didn't find that out till I was probably, I don't know for sure, but probably about 2 years old or so, because I wasn't, really crawling right, and all those things and getting around. So I had to go and, be tested, and that's when I was diagnosed. I was probably a little younger than that, so maybe a year or so. I don't know. My mom used to know all those details even better than I do. But yeah, I've had been living independently now for what is going on 32 years. Most of that time, almost 30 years here in Atlanta, and before that, I was living independently in my own place in LaGrange, where I grew up and went to high school, all those things. Um, but yeah, I'm just a very independent and outgoing person who's very, very opinionated, as you well know.
That's putting it mildly.
Yes, I'm never without
Opinion?
an opinion to whatever is going on in our world. But as are neither are you, so I guess we're good in that respect.
Yeah, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about you today.
Yes, but we're best friends, so this people might as well know how we relate.
Okay.
But yeah, I've dealt with a lot of challenges with cerebral palsy, because I've had to learn to walk more times than I care to. As I've gotten older, I have to use mobility aids a little bit more, like this wheelchair. But I can still walk, and I walk with forearm crutches. I just can't walk as far as I used to, or as long as I used to. And I can't, stand in one place too long or anything like that. So, but I'm still able to live independently and I'll continue to do that as long as I can. So that's just a little bit of my history.
Okay, so what was it like growing up, going to school, and dealing with that?
Well, that was a challenge because we're talking about the mid '70s here. I actually did not go to kindergarten as a child. They tried, but being the person that I am, I showed out and was not feeling kindergarten. So basically, I skipped
it. You showed your ass, and they had to skip you.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I can believe it.
And it was just because I just wasn't. I mean, I was always so self-aware, even when I was very small. So if I didn't like something, I was not going to do it, and I'm still that way now. Being that I guess it comes from being a bull because I am a Taurus, and I'm a very kind person, but I live up to that.
Stubborn.
The stubbornness and the pig-headedness and all those things. But yeah, school was difficult because, there wasn't the accessibility in the mid '70s like there is now.
No.
I had to literally figure out sometimes how to get in and out of the school because I couldn't walk up steps back then. When I was really young, I had a different type of walker, and there was no way that I was going to be able to get a walker up the stairs. So a lot of times, what I had to do was literally figure out how to scoot up and down stairs on my butt.
Been there, done that. Still do it today.
And it is not pleasant having to sit on a towel or whatever, trying to not get the behind of your clothes dirty while you're scooting up and down, and concrete steps do not feel good to do that on.
They don't feel good to anybody.
They don't feel good to anybody, but especially you've had a full body workout by the time you've gotten to the top or bottom of some stairs like that.
Yeah.
And
I've had same incidents when I was in high school because one of my classes for PE, we had to go outside and it was at a freaking trailer and I had to go upstairs.
oh, fine.
Yeah. But luckily I had my classmates and my teacher and they helped me get in and up. So it was okay. And I only had to do that once a week.
Yeah.
It wasn't like every class. It was like once a week that I had to do that and that was it.
Generally, once I got inside the buildings, because back then the schools weren't really, a lot of them were basically one level.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have multiple levels in buildings until I got to like junior high and high school and the buildings were bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did have one little trick when I was in school. One of the elementary schools had a little bit of a ramp because it was all basically one level, but when you got to a certain point, kind of in the middle of the school, there was one little set of steps, and just like kind of like a split level floor.
Okay.
And they did put in a ramp, and I had a particular type of walker that had wheels in the front, but none in the back. It had like crutch tip, like bottoms on the walker, and I would literally go up and down the ramp and back and forth. And I actually had two walkers in school at that point. One regular walker that didn't have any wheels on it at all, that you just picked up and moved as you walked. But I had kept the other walker because if I had to do a bathroom run, I had to get there faster, obviously, so the walker would stay outside of the classroom. And then I would switch out the walkers and take off and go do what I needed to do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I got around the school and things like that. But back then, there weren't even really a lot of buses with handicap accessibility. What they did in the little town in Troup County where I lived, because I grew up in LaGrange, there were station wagons that they used to get disabled people around. And they paid the person to drive just like you were driving a school bus. But that was when I was up and through elementary school. By the time I got to like junior high, the buses were available. When I was really young, that's how I got back and forth in a station wagon.
Damn.
I mean, it was marked that it was a school vehicle and all that, but it was,
a station wagon.
It was a station wagon.
And see, I grew up in a small town too, but we actually had, small handicap accessible buses. And the town I grew up in, it's still only about less than 3,000 people.
Well, I don't know what the current population of LaGrange is, but I think it's grown some, but it hasn't grown a lot. And they still don't have public transit, not even a couple of little small buses.
And you would think that even if the town grew, it would, at least put in a bus or two, something, because I'm sure there are plenty of people that don't have a car and don't drive, and they got to have a way to get around. And
yeah, because I mean, I was certainly not the only disabled child in my school. Usually I was like one of maybe two or three. There wasn't usually a lot of us.
Yeah.
There was just a handful of us.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in elementary school, there was a few of us, but that many in elementary school. And even when I was in middle school, well, I didn't go to middle school. I went to elementary school until about second grade. And then I stopped until second grade till eighth grade. And then I was homeschooled.
Yeah.
And then when I went to high school, there were other students that were disabled in the school because I went to a bigger school.
Yeah.
Because the high school I went to, because we had two big high schools in the town I lived in, because the town I lived in was a college town. So we had a pretty decent sized, school. And so we had, but it was multi-level. It was actually, there was an upstairs and a downstairs. The main part of the school is where most of the classes were, but there were certain classes, like one of my classes was upstairs. There was a PE class. I had to go upstairs for one of those classes at one point. And then there was one time I had to go outside for the class. And then to get to the gym was downstairs. So I literally had, and because I couldn't go down the stairs to get to the gym, thankfully, there was a way to get to the gym from the outside. So I had to go outside the building and go around to the side and have somebody open the door to the side.
Yeah, in our situation, you had to find alternate ways to get in and out, or up or down, or around or through, wherever
it's called
you need
adapting.
to. It's called adapting. That's just what you do.
I mean, that's all we ever do. Still to this day, we have to adapt.
You adapt all of your life. Everybody does it. Everybody adapts. Everybody, but it's more prominent, obviously, for a person with the physical challenges that we have.
Look at this afternoon. We were running errands this afternoon. We were coming back to the building, and there was a car parked in the handicap ramp area.
Yeah, right in front of it.
And there was a space that we had to squeeze your chair
just a couple
and my chair.
What, maybe about a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet?
About 2 feet. It's about 2 feet. This chair is about 3 feet wide. So it was about 2.5 feet that I was able to maneuver to get my chair with a bag on the back of me. You had several on the back of you, and we were able to get things around. But it's like it's like common courtesy and decency. You know that you're not supposed to park there. And they were gone. They were in the building somewhere, and then the security person was not paying attention. They were literally sitting there watching stuff on their phone.
I mean, I give her credit. As soon as I told her what was going on, she got up and went to look to see about doing something about it. Now, whether she did, I don't know. But,
right, exactly.
But it's like we have a little turnaround at the bottom of the ramp, and it's so full of different things, chairs,
right, exactly, all kinds of
stuff. People in their things. They've turned it into a porch.
Trash.
They've turned it into a porch, basically.
Right. It's just very unkept, and it's
very unkept. It's not even. I don't know how they managed to get by with letting it stay that way, but
right. But back to what we were talking about, dealing with trying to navigate schools. We also, doctors.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because you find doctors, and then you have to deal with doctors not wanting to deal with certain things, or when you're trying to raise certain concerns about things. You got doctors that won't listen to you about certain things. You got doctors that you have to okay, I need to talk to somebody else because you're not hearing.
Yeah, they don't want to hear, and especially if you're a gay person, you do run into that sometimes. So you can imagine what it is, not only being a physically challenged person, but you have all of that on top of it. And so it's always a challenge.
We just have so many different stigmas, and then you add that on top of it. It's just a whole lot. And people think that just because we have a physical challenge that we are not normal people who have the same desires, wants, and needs as everybody else.
Yeah, because we both have been independent for many, many decades.
You've been living independent since you were how old?
22.
Okay, about the same. About 21, 22. So we've both been living. You've been living independent for over 30 years. I've been living independent for over 20.
Yeah,
and it's
I've got a few more years on you.
A few more years on me. But the thing is, people got to realize that we live independent. We've had relationships. I've had jobs. We've had all these different things. We have friendships. We have families. We do a lot of things. We don't just sit at home and just not live our life. We actually do things.
Yeah.
Maybe,
it has physically challenged people, which is the way I tend to refer to it.
Yeah. I prefer the term physical.
I mean, it's interchangeable, but I don't like to use disabled because that means not able.
Right. Exactly. And we're not it's not that we're disabled, like not able. It's like we're just challenged. We just have some obstacles that we have to overcome. That's it. That's it.
And, thankfully, one of the things in our situation, we've learned to be adaptable very quickly.
Oh, hell yeah. We have to on a constant daily basis. You have to, because life is unpredictable, and you have to adapt because situations come up where you never know what's going to happen.
I mean, and the independence for both of us, it started, early because our moms taught us to take care of ourselves.
My grandma was a
and you had a Medea grandma, so wasn't nobody going to mess with you.
And I've told people that multiple times. I had a Medea grandma that basically told me, boy, you better learn how to take care of yourself because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
But no, it's so many different things that I've had to deal with growing up. Okay, here's another good example. Here's another question: hospitals. Let's talk about hospital experiences, just quick.
Well,
Because I've had a lot.
you've had a lot of hospital experiences. When I haven't had a lot of hospital experiences as an adult.
And the thing is, it varies based on the severity of your condition.
Because I do have cerebral palsy, but in my case, it's very mild. It affects my entire body, but it majority affects my lower extremities, my legs, and how much strength I have, and things like that. But now I'm at a point where I'm getting older, and in about a decade, I'll be a senior citizen. So you're dealing with getting older and the things that come with aging on top of having a disability. So it's always a challenge. But I only had a few surgeries when I was a little boy, maybe 2 or 3. I didn't have a lot. In your case, because of what you went through, you had several, probably a dozen, I guess. I don't know. You wouldn't even know. I know you've had shunt revisions several times, and
over 30 probably.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. I knew it was a lot. I don't think I ever thought it was that many.
30, over 30. You got to remember, I had 3 hernia repairs 3 years in a row.
I do remember that because
I've had shunt replacements.
Yeah.
I've had shunt replacement, shunt repairs. I've had multiple things from birth to up until my last surgery was around 20. I want to say 2020.
Yeah, it's been
2020 was the last surgery I had.
I think because
2020,
yeah,
the 2020
something like that, and it was the hernia surgery, I think, or was it the hernia surgery?
I think it was a hernia. It was either a hernia or shunt revision. I can't.
I know you had both pretty close together.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's just all the different things, and like I tell people, everybody's different because I know people that have my condition that are way, they're it's more severe. Like one of my friends that did a video with me before my last video, his is more severe than mine, and we're totally different. And so
yeah, it's just like with me. I mean, I have a very mild form of cerebral palsy, but but there are always things. I'm highly functional and highly independent,
right?
Because I had, both. My mom taught me to be that way,
right? And
so I just learned to adapt. And I think it's easier to a degree when you're a small child growing up with it, because your whole life you spend adapting,
right?
So figuring out how when your body changes, when you have to do things differently than you did before, it's not as hard. It's still frustrating,
right?
But you're just used to adapting, so you don't know any other way. You just keep on adapting and go on with it,
right? And it's because it's different. Like for somebody who's like an older adult or older teenager or whatever who like had an injury or something. Because I've actually, at my previous job, I met a lot of people because where I worked, we were right down from the Shepherd Spinal Center, and I met people that have had spinal injuries where they were paralyzed from the waist down, the neck down. Recently, over the last few years, young and older, and people were telling me how, it's their new normal and it's a struggle for them. And I'm trying, and I hope I'll be able to get some more people on that have had those experiences, because I don't want it just to be about people with physical challenges from birth. I want people who also have had, traumatic injuries or different things. So, people that have had experiences that happen later in life.
Yeah.
I think we need to have like a broader, spectrum of people on. So.
Yeah. And I think you and I came up in a time when a lot of those stigmas slowly began to go away.
But they're still here. Oh, yeah. I mean, every day we can go out and I guarantee you at least one person is going to stare at you.
Yeah, like, why are you in this wheelchair?
Or
why are you in my way? Will you hurry up and move?
And people stare and they make assumptions without, asking questions. But then you have people that are just like today. We were in line. We went grocery shopping. A little girl. She said, "Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, how you doing?" She wasn't staring. She was just curious, and she just spoke. her mom was with her, and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And those interactions, that's the way it should be. It should just be a normal interaction between people.
Yeah, and given her reaction and how polite she was, I imagine she's probably seen, different people before.
She may have a classmate or seen somebody at school. And that's the thing. We should make it normal for people to see us and just be like, okay. And if you have a question, especially kids, and I've talked about it before, I don't mind children asking questions.
No,
my issue is when parents say, don't bother them. And I get irritated. I say, don't do that. I said, let them ask their question because I'm going to give them an answer that they can understand. And they go, okay, cool. And then they keep it moving. Now, the parents, I will give them the more complicated answer.
Yeah, but for a child, all you got to do is give them the simplest answer.
Exactly. And they be like, oh, okay, cool. And they go on about their day. They go on playing with the toys or go back to whatever they were doing. And they keep it moving. They don't worry about all that. So it's kids are curious, but you give them something that they understand and they're like, okay, cool. It's the adults that have the issues.
Well, yeah, and I know. I mean, I know from my own experience. Even as a child, I had friends.
Mm-hmm.
A few little friends to play with and people that I hung out with. But it was mostly my mom's girlfriend's children and things like that. So I made friends, of course, with all as I went through school, and I had a lot of friends in high school. And
I had a few friends in high school. I had friends in elementary school, and when I lived in certain areas, I knew people in the different areas that I lived in neighborhoods, like when I lived in apartments and stuff. So I knew neighborhood kids. And when I grew up in a little small town I lived in, I had friends that I used to hang out with during the summer. We'd be out all day. So I had a group of friends that I hung out with. And, I tell people I can talk to anybody about just about anything, really. So it just depends.
Me too. I mean, I have never been without an opinion. And as we said before,
we know.
But I'll be friendly with anybody. As long as they're kind to me, I'll be kind to them.
Right. And I'm the same way. As long as you're not a asshole of a person.
You were trying to find, I think, a diplomatic way to say that.
I tell people, on here, we keep it real. We keep it unfiltered. As long as you're not an asshole person, I can get along with anybody as long as you're not an asshole. Yeah. Even if we're not on the same side about certain things, we can agree to disagree and just walk away with mutual respect.
Yeah, there has to be
a happy medium.
There has to be a happy medium, and I think part of the problem in our culture now is that people can't seem to learn to agree to disagree.
Right.
It's either everything is so polarized right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's either and if you don't agree, then there's something wrong with you.
True.
That's a big issue now. So life is always full of its challenges, but I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't. There's a lot I wish I hadn't gone through. But
here's a question, and here's a question. Now, I have not asked this question. If you could go back and change things, would you go back and be born not disabled? If you could go back and change it.
Well, I don't know.
Because you don't know anything different.
Because I don't know anything different.
Okay. I just thought, I've never asked that question to anybody, but it just popped in my head. I honestly, because...
Probably, thinking about it, probably not.
Okay.
Because then I wouldn't be
you. Right.
I'd be me. I'd just be me in a different way.
Right. You know what? I agree with you on that because I think it made me who I am. It's a part of who I am. It's not. It doesn't define me. It's just one of the pieces.
Yeah, it's something that we carry with us every day that obviously people see.
Right.
It's something that we can't change, but it doesn't make up our whole personality.
Right. It doesn't define who we are. Exactly.
It's just a part of the definition of who we are.
Right. And people automatically assume just by the outward appearance, oh, they're disabled, or they probably can't do this, they probably don't have no life, they probably have no friends, they probably have no social life, they probably do. And I'm like, I know people just like us that be busy as hell. They are these social butterflies that have these very full lives. And I know people that have no physical disabilities whatsoever and have no life at all.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yes,
going on.
we certainly do
Right.
know people like that.
And so my thing is, don't always assume by the outward appearance what somebody has going on,
Yeah.
in their life, because you never know.
No, you don't. You never know. But I mean, speaking for myself, it's been many years, but I used to be highly active in a church that I belonged to,
Yeah, I remember.
and I've been a singer and a performer and doing all these things. I've went to school for computers and worked with that. I mean, I can take a computer apart and hopefully put it back together and fix. Believe me, it's easier to take it apart than it is sometimes to put it back together. When you take it apart, it's like, oh Lord, what have I done?
Right. Right.
But I can do, I can put hard drives in computers and put memory in and do all kinds of things. When I was in school, I studied programming, so I know how to program.
Speaking of computers, I actually need to take some stuff apart and just kind of reorganize some wires and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, because
well, I mean, you're about to be transitioning a lot of things soon.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've always been busy, and at this stage of my life, I don't have the biggest, most active social life that I would like, but I'm still open, and I still try to stay connected to people and experiences and opportunities, so that I can, hopefully meet people as time goes on and get more active into things again.
Well, you just got to put yourself back out there and just start making moves and choices to start doing more, right?
Right. And, I'm just always going to be me. And I figure that if people want to know me, they will. If they don't, then it's kind of their loss.
Okay. I agree with that. If you don't want to take the chance or the time to get to know me, that's your loss. Because I'm a bomb ass person to get.
Well, so am I. I mean, we're both a lot with our personalities. We are. We're very.
The thing is,
but we're a lot in a good way.
If there's this girl that I follow, and I actually found her on TikTok, and she's a singer, and she actually she was on a cruise ship. She does like cruise ship singer. Mm-hmm. And she did this song, and she said, "If I'm too much, go find less."
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. If I'm too much, go find less. Because I'm not gonna dim my light just so you can shine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put myself in a corner just because it makes you feel better.
No.
I'm bendable, inflexible, and adaptable, but I'm not going to ever do any of those bending and adaptings to the point that I'm not myself.
Okay.
So if you like me, you have to eventually learn to like all of me.
Right. And I tell people, if you like me, you're gonna like all of me, even with I'm irritating, even with my big mouth, even with my attitude. But I'm also gonna be one of the most loyal people that you're gonna have in your corner too. Until you cross me.
That's I think we're a lot alike in so many ways, and that's one of the things I think that's kept us having. Goodness, a friendship since 2001, I guess.
Yep, 23 years this year.
23 years.
Yep.
And
God help me.
I know, right? You're not going to get rid of me until the good Lord calls me wherever I'm going to be. You might move away, and you might not be, but you're always going to be putting up with your bestie and all of his craziness, and as I will you. Because we don't have opportunities to have too many truly good friendships anymore.
True, we don't. And true friendship, it's few and far between nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, there really aren't as many true friendships in the way that and sometimes we get on each other's last nerve.
Yeah.
But we all, at the end of the day, we respect each other, and we honor what what we both bring.
Right. And I tell people, if I'm having a day and I don't want to deal with people, I say, look, hey, nothing personal, but I'm going to take me some me time.
Yeah.
I will talk to you in a day or two.
And we both we can read each other, like we don't even have to say nothing to each other.
I got to take some time to myself, because right now I don't have the bandwidth to deal with people right at this second.
and your bestie, I cannot hide if I'm
Oh, please.
Oh, please! It reads on me like.
You more transparent than glass.
But generally for me, I mean, you can really tell with me when something is going on because I get really quiet.
Yeah, and
quiet is not me. Quiet is never been me.
For you, only time you're ever quiet is if you're eating or you're asleep.
Yeah. And even then, I sleep with my mouth open, which I don't know why that is, but you've seen it.
Yeah.
You know, my mom always. I didn't know I did that until my mom used to.
People do. We all have weird quirks because I know I do weird, so.
But it's so weird to think that I sleep with my mouth open as much as I talk, which means my mouth is very rarely closed.
Okay. So here's another question, and we can wrap this up. What is one thing or two things you would like people watching to know?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we're all human beings. We all might be different in physically or mentally or our body types or whatever, but we all want to be seen. We all want to be valued and appreciated.
Right. Okay.
And not even if it's just people on the street, not necessarily people closest to us, but when people see us, I would hope that they would think, well, that's a human being just like I am.
Right.
Even if you don't know me.
Right. Because we're human beings. We're not some weird animal creature. We're human beings, just like you. We have feelings. We have emotions. And we'll tell you to fuck off if we need to.
Both of us are very
blunt
in that way.
I mean, you have to be. Because, I have learned that I don't sugarcoat. I tell people and I tell people, full disclosure, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I tell people, I am not Willy Wonka. I don't sugarcoat shit.
Yeah.
I will try not to hurt your feelings, but sometimes brutal honesty may hurt,
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to
just have to tell people the truth, whether they want to hear it or not.
Right.
And then leave it up to them to deal with it. But secondly, I think what else I'd like people to know is that just if something scares you about a person with a physical challenge or you're curious, don't be afraid to ask. Because, we're here. The people don't learn about each other unless they communicate. Mm-hmm. And communication is very difficult these days.
Well, you know what? Actually, Just Ask is actually an acronym that they're actually using a lot in the LGBTQ community, which stands for acknowledge, support, keep in touch.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you need to do. It's simple. And that's the thing. Just ask someone if you're curious about it.
And might I say, in closing, that's something we can both mention here. But we, being part of that community, as with physical disabilities, is also challenging. But it's not something that is impossible. No. Because with us, we're both too stubborn and hard-headed. We're not going to sit back and be ignored, Oh
no. That's why this channel is called Ignored and Underestimated, because we are not going to be either of those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never quite as creepy as Glenn Close was in Attraction, but I kind of have that mindset, I'm not going to be ignored.
Right.
I just, because I got one shot to live here on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to do my best to enjoy every minute.
We only get one life to live, and I'm going to live mine to the fullest.
And
and I'm living it for me and nobody else.
Yeah, and I feel one of the things that I want people to remember is that most of us are very kind people. I would think. I mean, we don't ever know what other people's experiences are, but be open to, sharing yourself with someone. And maybe you might brighten somebody's day by actually paying attention to them and having a conversation with them. Okay. So that's something that's very important.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to thank you. And it was a great conversation. If anyone has any comments, please be kind, be honest, but be kind in the comments. And we're going to be doing more videos like this. Also, I am going to be going back to do more on the mental health side as well. So be looking out for that. And we'll see you next time.